until the young? How could you make people hurt and keep moving on? How could you sleep at night and sleep so long? How could you act like we go for family on? How could you say that we're one and take new routes? How could you act like you don't know what I'm talking about? How could you even say you can? You're not even there. Can't get you out of my system. You're I hate to conclude that this isn't you, 'cause you wouldn't ride with me. Not even beyond. She got me going down. I'm in trouble now. She got me going down. I'm in trouble now. She got me going down. I'm in trouble now. She got me going down. 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 I think I'm in trouble now. Hey. I think I'm in trouble now. How could you make things worse until they're gone? How could you make people hurt and keep moving on? How could you sleep at night and sleep so long? How could you act like we gon' forfeit beyond? How could you say that we're one and turn around? How could you act like you don't know what I'm talking about? How could you even say you can? You're not even there. Can't get you out of my system. I hate to
Yeah, Travis, yeah. Yo, and welcome to episode 2 of Addicted to Film.
Yeah.
I am Tim Gordon. This man to my left is T-Hop, Travis Hopson.
What up?
What you pointing at, man? Oh, were you pointing to go like, oh, was that like your finger point?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, my bad. See, I'm not seeing.
No, it's all good, man. You know, we don't know each other, so you don't know. I do the finger point every now and then.
Whatever, man. We still getting accustomed to being that people can see us. Well, welcome to the show. We're gonna have a lot of fun today, but before we get started with that funky music playing behind us, I love Mobb Deep, man. That's hot. Travis, you notice, man, that we're gonna be talking about a big, huge Marvel film today. Am I correct?
We are, which is why I'm wondering why you got that
because
shirt on.
I'm repping all my DC folk out there, DC comic. You know, if you down with Superman, you down with Batman, you down with Wonder Woman, you down with the whole DC family.
There's nobody.
Man, everybody's down.
Nobody
Dude,
answered that.
Legendary characters.
Nobody got hyped over anybody you just
whatever,
mentioned.
man. If you down with Spider-Man and Iron Man and Captain America, you know, well, yeah, you can have them little dudes. So I came here today because I come to offer praise.
You even got the hat.
I do have the hat.
Oh,
it's called Man of Steel Love, people. See, this is how you rep when you in the film game. You at home, watch this, Travis. You little kids at home that want to be critics. You want to dress like us? You want our swag?
You want to work? You want to come into work wearing your pajama shirt like this guy did?
Wait a minute. Where's your Marvel bag at? Where's your Marvel bag?
My Marvel bag is right here next to me.
Pull a Marvel bag up.
And so is my Marvel Avengers thermos right here.
Watch this. Pull a Marvel bag up because I want people to see this.
Here's my Avengers thermos.
No, that's cool.
Everybody.
Show them the Marvel bag, man.
It's fine. I don't mind.
This is what Travis.
This is my Marvel bag.
Pull it over, man, so the people can see it.
I'm not gonna hold it there, man. Look. So what? I got my Marvel bag. I got my Marvel thermos. Hey, look, I'm good, man.
You know what's funny?
This is a Marvel weekend because this is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is open to over. It's already got $300 million worldwide. It's only been out for like 10 days.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah. So
look. You see how much it hurt? I had to say that. Yeah, it is real good.
Man of Steel can't
Man of Steel, not so much. Not so much, man.
And the interesting thing is, and before we get into talking about Captain America: The Winter Soldier real quick, the interesting thing is in 2016 it's going to be Batman versus Superman, the film, against Captain America 3
with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
It's going head to head with Captain America 3 in 2 years. And who do you think is going to win that battle?
All right, hold on a second. Let me just act like this is a chessboard. I'm DC. Look.
Yeah, exactly.
We get ready to get torn out, man. But again, Travis, you're absolutely right, man. But it's really funny that I wanted to tell the audience coming up in today's show. Travis and I, a couple of days ago, had an opportunity to sit down with the directors of this film, Anthony and Joe Russo.
Yes.
So that's coming up later on in the show. And also, go ahead.
And we got to say this. And I got to say this. I think we had the longest interview anybody's had with those guys.
You think we did? We did have the longest interview.
Seriously, I think we've seen a number of interviews a lot of people have had with these guys. I think we had the longest and the best one that anybody's done.
Damn, did you just say longest and best? I mean,
best.
See, it's always we have one or the other.
We already got the best movie show in DC. So why can't we have the best interview anybody's done with these guys? Look.
Yeah, Kevin. I'm sorry. Travis said inside baseball, man.
Baseball.
Yeah, Kevin. What you got to say about that, Kevin?
All right.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but we got to talk. Let's start talking about this because we want to get to that interview as soon as possible. So let's start talking about Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Well, do what you do best, man. Do our TV dynamic. Go ahead. You set it up.
All right. So look, this is the sequel to Captain America: The First Avenger.
Right.
And this is to me, this is the first. I know we've seen a couple of Marvel movies since the Avengers. To me, this is the one that feels like the true sequel. This one has Captain America. You know, he's still in the modern times, and he's dealing with what looks to be maybe a mole or a traitor within S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is different than S.H.I.E.L.D. is not the altruistic society, this altruistic group that he thinks it is. There's a lot of shades of gray within S.H.I.E.L.D. that he's not used to, right? And there appears to be a traitor within S.H.I.E.L.D., somebody who takes down Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, of course. And it's this legendary assassin known as the Winter Soldier. And for the purposes of those who have not seen the movie yet, don't know all the details from the comics, I won't spoil who the Winter Soldier is just in case there's somebody out there who doesn't know.
Excuse me, sir. The movie made $300 million this week, and I think it's safe to say that everybody saw it.
Not everybody knows it. I'm not going to spoil it for them. Plus, there's no need for me to spoil it. So basically, this movie has Captain America working with Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson, and Anthony Mackie as the Falcon to not only stop this assassin, but also ferret out whatever this evil is that's lurking within S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's your basic setup of this one. And like I said, to me, this feels like the first true sequel to the Avengers because we see what the world has become since then, and it's S.H.I.E.L.D. really tightening their power grip. You know, we talk about some of the issues that we have in today's society, which is, you know, freedom versus security and things like that. This movie deals with that, and I thought that was one of the things that they do really well with it. And Marvel's always done that, though, better than DC, and that's not a knock against DC. Look, I read DC comics too, but one of the things that Marvel has always done really well is take topical subjects and put them in their comics, and they do that. We're seeing them do that with their movies too.
Well, what really worked about this film, and I will just disagree with one thing you said. You said this feels like the first true sequel. I think honestly, since the Avengers, that Thor, and I forget what it was called, the Thor sequel.
Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World. I think it started there. For whatever reason, you know, and you and I have talked about this, I was not a big fan of either the original Captain America or the original Thor. But it seems like ever since the Avengers and now that they're tying in the post, the world, the post New York, situation, these movies have gone up like not just another notch, but like 2 or 3 notches. They are really well done. What I really loved about this movie, though, Travis, was the fact that it for me, these sorts of films are all about tone. Right. So I thought that the tone of the original Captain America, even though it takes place during World War II, was just to me a little off. It seemed a little hokey, kind of like what Cap represents.
And it feels like that again when they kind of go back to that time period in this movie. It feels a little. It doesn't feel quite right. I totally agree with you.
Right. But I think that the focus, not just on it being in more contemporary times, but also the other subplots, what goes on with Nick Fury, you know, the whole situation, as you're talking about with the Winter Soldier and that whole situation. I thought that the Russo brothers, almost from every frame, they handle every aspect of this film in a way that it is delicate. It's inside for the folks who read the comics. It works for people who have no clue, as you said, about what the plot points are. I just think it's a very open, a very accessible film, and it's chock full of action.
The action is incredible.
And they talk about that, or you'll listen to them explain it to us during the interview that's coming up.
No, I totally agree with you. And look, to me, this is This is the Bourne Identity on super soldier serum. It's the way they shoot it, and the amazing thing is that the Russo brothers, who are directors, and most people don't know them, but they're coming from the world of comedy, and for them to tackle a movie like this, and their style to me is very reminiscent of Paul Greengrass. It's very immediate, it's very grounded, and it's very high impact the way the Bourne movies are. Action in those movies is, you feel it when people get hit in those movies. You feel it when it seems like people are really doing these things, which is not always the case in action movies nowadays. And we hear them talk about that a little bit as well. But I totally agree with them. And yes, this movie is very much an espionage thriller. I called it sort of like 3 Days of the Condor. Which
I was about to say. Let's also talk about having Robert Redford in this film and
so
what
brilliant.
He adds to it.
So brilliant.
I mean, I just think, like I said, you and I have had these conversations about how these superhero films or these comic films have really evolved. But the casting, when you put a Sam Jackson, a Robert Redford, Scarlett Johansson, who comes in, it's really physical. And Chris Evans, who keeps talking about he don't want to act anymore. Yeah. He's actually really good playing Cap, playing a character that I think is just really vanilla.
This is what Marvel has done. Marvel has taken a lot of risks in front of and behind the camera. We talked about the Russo brothers. We talked about Alan Taylor doing Thor: The Dark World. Jon Favreau doing the first couple Iron Man movies. Wasn't a big action guy before that. I mean, Shane Black coming back, the guy who did Lethal Weapon, coming back for Iron Man 3. They take risks behind the camera, and then in front of the camera, they take just as many risks with guys like Chris Hemsworth and guys like Chris Evans, who you don't expect to be in these roles. And I agree with you. In the case of Evans, it seems like this is such a more natural fit for him. And you don't think so, because you look at him and you think, Johnny Storm, when he played Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movies, that should be more his speed. He's actually better. He's far better here in that role. It gives him a chance to be funny, but not over the top funny. And it gives him a chance to show off his physical attributes as well. It's a perfect role for him. And if he leaves, it'll hurt. It'll hurt. If he leaves.
But you told me earlier that if you know the comic books.
It
might not be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving it away, but I'm saying it's not as if
Cap leaves, there's somebody waiting in the wings to take his place that's already around.
So if you don't want the gig, trust me, your replacement is already on board.
Exactly. So that's
so basically, before we get out of here, because we got a couple of minutes to go, man, before we take our break, I'm just gonna say, Travis, that there's two things that jump out at me, not just about this film, but this weekend. One, that now the studios have a brand new way in order to generate money. $300 million this weekend worldwide for this movie, man, for an early April release. What do you think is going to happen next year or the year after with this weekend, how the studios work?
Look, the way these things are going right now, the summer movie season is going to start beginning in March.
Or January. They'll be like, we got our first summer blockbuster.
Still snowing.
Right. Dr. King weekend. Check out this this pre-summer movie.
No, I mean, that's the way it's going to go. I mean, we're talking about this movie is almost the official kickoff of summer already.
Oh, absolutely.
And last year we were talking about how May was the kickoff of summer because there was a blockbuster every single week. And now we got it here in April. It's only going to get earlier and earlier, especially when you have studios like Marvel and Disney who are putting out multiple blockbusters per year, because there's another Marvel movie coming up in just a few months,
which is going to kill. But this one right now, man, I just think they have captured everything. And as a DC guy, it pains me to say they are waxing DC Comics right now. Warner Brothers is clueless. They don't have a plan.
It's
they don't have a plan, and Marvel clearly does. You wrote a piece. Talk a little bit about the piece you wrote on Punch Drunk Critics that Marvel has movies planned out for until 2028.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marvel president Kevin Feige, he's the guy who basically shepherds all these movies from beginning to end. He's the guy who set up this plan back in 2008 with Iron Man, and he's said that recently that he's got this whole thing planned out all the way through to 2028. Which is, I mean, it's incredible. Now, I mean, look, those things are fluid. Those things will change over time depending on how certain movies perform and some don't and things like that. They'll reevaluate with every phase. You can see with each phase they reevaluate, because we talked about how this second phase has been like taken to a whole new level. Right. I mean, the third phase will probably go up even further.
And you know what's interesting about this phase? there's no Iron Man in this phase. What does that basically say? No, I'm talking about Iron Man will be in the Avengers, but I'm talking about any more standalone Iron Man.
Well, I mean, in phase 2 we had Iron Man 3, but in phase 3 there are no Iron Mans planned.
Wow.
So, but there are some other movies planned, and look, there are plenty of Easter eggs in Captain America: The Winter Soldier for those who want to look out for them. Including a couple name drops. One for a movie that many of us are expecting to be announced at Comic-Con.
You guys are so geeky, man. It's ridiculous. I saw you guys sitting there. Everybody was sitting there like little nerds, like waiting on the post screen. I mean the post scene credit.
It's true.
All right, man. Well, go ahead, Travis.
So look, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and play you a clip of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, one of the better clips in my opinion, one of the best clips from the movie, in fact. And then we're gonna go straight into our interview with the Russo brothers. Like I said, I think this is the not only the longest but the best interview anybody's done with them.
Hey Cap, how do we know the good guys from the bad guys? If they're shooting at you, they're bad. Those bad guys you were talking about. You okay? I'm not dead yet.
All right, welcome back to Addicted to Film. Of course, this is Travis Hopson. I'm Tim Gordon. We are sitting here with a couple of amazing gentlemen who have produced an amazing film. Anthony and Joe Russo, the co-directors of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. How you guys doing today?
Great. Good, we're doing great. Thanks for having me.
You know, Travis, did you want to start?
Well, look, if I'm going to start, then I'm going to start by geeking out a little bit here because I thought, seriously, I don't usually do that. You know me, I don't usually do stuff like that. But when it comes to Marvel movies,
be yourself, man.
I tend to do that, especially this one, which I thought was incredible. Great. All right, you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
So I got to ask you a question right off the bat, though. How awesome is it to just be in like the Marvel world? Making these movies with all these different talents, things like that.
It's crazy. It's a dream come true. I've been collecting comics since I was 10 years old.
Oh, so you and I have a kinship already.
Exactly. I mean, what's weird about it is one of the first books I ever got my hands on was a Captain America Falcon team up. So to be talking to you about a Captain America Falcon movie 30 years later is pretty bizarre. But it's super exciting because we have very similar sensibility to everybody at that company, especially Kevin Feige, who runs the company. We're comic book geeks, we're film geeks, we're pop culture geeks. You can tell from our shows like Arrested Development, Community that we love pop culture. And Kevin's the same way. So I think it's like a bunch of peas in a pod. Everybody's sort of the similar mindset, and I think that's why we got along very well with them. They gave us an immense amount of creative freedom on this project, and we're all very happy with the product.
But to be able, as storytellers, to be given these characters and allowed to tell a story using these iconic characters is an incredible privilege, and we were always mindful of that and grateful for that.
Now, you guys, to me, I told you, I shared with you before we started that I really wasn't that huge of a fan of the first one. Right. But this film feels like it made a major jump to me. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand you guys talked in a recent interview about wanting to take the story and make it more modern.
Right.
Explain kind of what your vision was when you guys kind of looked at kind of an overview of this story and how you wanted to present it to audiences.
Right. Well, there was, when I was collecting comic books, it was in the 80s, right? Frank Miller released the Dark Knight series, which really blew everybody's mind because it was the first deconstruction of a golden age or silver age superhero, right? There's a postmodern component to it where he put him in an extremely modern setting, and for the first time with modern themes, and everybody's going, oh my God, this hero actually lives in a world very similar to mine. He doesn't live in this fantasy world. He talks like I do, has the same issues that I have. So we like deconstructing superheroes. We prefer that. First movie is like a Captain America film, is a love letter to the golden age origin of the character. We like deconstruction. So Ed Brubaker's run is to me the quintessential deconstruction of Captain America. and the tone and the theme were espionage. The theme has to do with trust. So for us, that's where we started. We started in a place of, well, what do we like about the character? What do we want to see different about the character? Again, when I was a kid, I had issues with Captain America. I thought he was too much of a Boy Scout. He was a superficial character. He seemed like propaganda to me. As a kid even, 10-year-old kid. I used to imagine Steve McQueen in my head because it would give him a little bit more bite for me. So those are the things that we wanted to, in our mind, correct about the character, just in his collective mythology.
But also, we felt you can see the movement of Captain America through these Marvel movies, from that first movie to this movie, in the sense that World War II was a very black and white time. It was like America versus the Nazis. Captain America missed Watergate and Vietnam and 9/11 and all the crazy things that have happened since that have left us in this very gray world. So to sort of take this character who from a arguably more simple time and pull him into a very gray, complicated world, like that was, for us, that's just good storytelling, and it's very challenging to Cap on a character level. It's like take him as far away from that world where he started and sort of see what happens to him.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Actually, this is a very post 9/11 sort of movie. You couldn't have made this a while back. You just simply couldn't have done it, especially with a character like Captain America. So I was going to ask, how do you see this character sort of evolving beyond this now? Because he's now recognizes that he's in a world where simply punching the bad guy is not going to solve all the world's problems like it was in World War II. Where does a character like that go from here? What do you guys think?
Hopefully, he keeps developing. I mean, what's interesting about Cap is he's a very strategic thinker. And so that's one of his abilities. It's the serum accelerated his thought process, right? So he can think quickly. That's why he's the leader of the Avengers. So for us now, and we've signed on a Cap 3, and we're just breaking the story on it. It's really trying to figure out, how does he grow in the modern world? Character who acts on principle, right? It was easy to act on principle in The Greatest Generation. Nazis were bad, everybody else was good. It was a very, very clear black and white issue. Yes, now as you point out, it's all gray. So how do you act on principle? So I think that really is going to be his struggle moving forward, is trying to keep identifying who the villain is, or who where the lines are drawn, and they may keep getting more complicated for him.
You can see on a personal level, at least, and we have a long way to go. Like Joe said, we've just begun sort of thinking about the story for the next one with the writers, Marcus and McFeely. But on a personal level, his relationship with the Winter Soldier isn't resolved at the end of this movie. So there's something left there for Cap still to chase.
So I guess my question would be, I'm kind of like the lone guy who's not the comic book reader that's sitting here in this ensemble right now. Discuss what is the process, or is there a process of how you balance out these stories that they play well for people who are fans of the comic or who are comic book fans versus general audiences who just go in and we don't really know enough about the story that they'll kind of follow it, but we want to be entertained nevertheless?
It's a very important question. I mean, look, while the fan base is extremely important and we're extremely close to that fan base, it's like these movies are seen go way beyond the fan base. So you have to do that. I mean, I think what it comes down to is just we always have loved like very balanced and well-rounded and layered storytelling and everything that we do. That's how we approach everything we've done, from Arrested Development to Community, etc. So we like stuff that like sort of hits on all pistons, that makes you laugh, cry, scares you, excites you, makes you think. We want movies to take us through all those experiences, and also we like movies that you can watch multiple times. Like we're film geeks, we love to watch stuff and rewatch stuff, and it's like to be able to get something new from a movie on a second viewing or third viewing is so exciting. So it's like that's how we approach our storytelling. We try to layer it, make it very dense, make it very well-rounded, and I think that's, hopefully how the movie will end up appealing to both a fan base and a general audience.
Now, you mentioned some of your previous work, Community, Arrested Development, things like that. You guys are generally known as comedy guys, generally for the most part. So this is sort of a big jump for people, who know you from your other stuff, how do you kind of make that transition, and how did you make it so well? Because I do think you guys do an amazing job with the sort of the scale of this thing, and I also didn't see an overabundance of CGI effects. Like, it does seem like he tried to use practical when it was
That's
possible.
for our taste, right? I like practical effects. I like good fighting in my comic book movies, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and Cap is a hand-to-hand combatant. He's a human being. He's not a CGI creation like the Hulk. He's not a god like Thor flying across the sky. So, you know, we wanted to ground it as much as we could because we felt that would play to Cap's strengths as a character, and to see his abilities, you got to see the guy fight. That's what his abilities are. So we want to make sure that we had a lot of practical work in the movie. It keeps you in the film more. You know, CGI can pull you out. Clearly, there's stuff in the movie that we couldn't do practically. And that's
those giant ships that they
we wanted to build them.
We build the helicarrier and just really crash it.
We built one, but we couldn't get off the ground, so we had to scrap it.
They always crash anyway, so it doesn't matter.
As far as how we got to a movie like this as filmmakers, we had a wonderful run in comedy that we loved, but we never really set out to be comedy directors. This is something that sort of happened. We have very eclectic tastes. We like all genres, and we like, we make TV pilots, episodes, big films, small films, commercials. We shoot everything. It's all filmmaking to us, and we just. So I think, look, we've always fetishized action. We love action, and this is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. So while we were having this great run in comedy and we couldn't kind of shift gears because things were going so well, we had years and years of action fantasies building up in our heads. So it's like we poured it all into this movie.
I just really find it ironic with the background that you guys have that arguably I think you've created the quintessential Marvel movie that's in this universe. I'm thinking of the original Hulk. I'm talking about everything from 2008 to now.
Right.
I really, really thought you guys, as he said earlier, balanced the action and everything very well in the film. I understand that part of the inspiration, I read someplace, that you guys talked about the action sequences were like The Raid, and I think some of these other movies. Is that
yeah?
Is that true?
Listen, being film geeks, we identify what it is that we like about certain movies, and there are certain movies we'll watch over and over. My Apple TV lives at quarter speed, because I'll slow down scenes and I'll study what the director is doing in a given scene. What's he doing with the sound? What's he doing with the performance? How's he selling that punch? How's he, what's the choreography? And so we go back to our influences to identify and go, okay, all right, we're doing a car chase with Nick Fury. How do we do a great car chase? Let's go look at the French Connection.
Chase the greatest
Let's go look at To Live and Die in L.A. Let's go look at Ronin, which I think is some of the greatest car chases ever put on film. And let's be inspired by that, and let's look at the tricks that they're using and Heat. I still think that the bank heist is probably the most intense 8 minutes I've seen in a movie theater. And it was the reality of it. It was the first-person subjectivity of the camera that was over Val Kilmer's shoulder when he's shooting down the street and then spinning around into the camera. And it was the reality of that. So we used that to, influence the sequence where Winter Soldier attacks them on the freeway, and then it spills out into the streets. We just love the fighting in that film because it was extremely fast, very kinetic, but trackable. You could actually see, you can understand what the characters were thinking and why they were doing what they were doing in each action beat. And to me, that's the, there's been a real trend of implied action over the last 10 years. We wanted to make it very specific action where you could actually follow Cap as a character and you could see Chris Evans doing it. That's the other really important component, is to make sure your actor is on camera executing it. There's a great fight between him and Winter Soldier with the knife flip, and you're watching Chris move very quickly, and it really sells you on the fact that the character is highly trained, Cap, and that that he knows how to fight.
I really enjoyed the fight in the beginning with him and Batroc. It's just because Batroc's one of my favorite villains. Sorry, although I still wish he had the mustache that he has in the comics.
I love when you have the geek moment.
That's just a personal thing.
That was important for us to get somebody like George St. Pierre for that to play Batroc and to have that early fight in the movie with Cap to set the standard for intensity, because
really did.
I mean, he's a real fighter, and those guys move amazingly fast and amazingly aggressive. So it's like to put Cap up against somebody like that for the first fight meant we just had to keep sort of making it more and more intense from there.
And you know, I have to ask how. I mean, because you mentioned Chris Evans and how he performed in it. I got to ask how he was during this, because the action sequences are far more intense in this film, and this is a far more physical film for him than I think the first one was. So how did he kind of hold up? You know, moving up against
he
that.
works extremely hard.
He's incredibly athletic. I'm very impressed with his athleticism. You know, you can shoot a lot of Chris executing the fighting in the movie. He trained for months up to filming, and he did a fantastic job. I mean, you've seen the film. You see a lot of him on camera. He's doing a lot of his own
worked very hard as well. I mean, everybody liked the. I mean, you know, the actors have played these characters several times now, and they love what they've done. But like, they like to be challenged, and they want something new to do in each movie. And I think the fact that we were asking them, because of the style of film, that we wanted it to be more heavy on actors, more heavy on actually executing these stunts, and seeing it on camera, relying less on computer graphics. That was a challenge to them that they were excited by, and they really knew they had to train harder for it, and they did. It was great.
Now, earlier in the conversation, Travis asked you guys about how did it feel to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When you're in that universe and all of you guys are doing these standalone stories, so whoever's working on Iron Man or Thor or Hulk, it's almost like so it's almost like
you guys are doing.
You guys have to, you almost have to kind of safeguard the character, kind of move the story along to hand the baton off for these Avenger films. Have you guys given that thought, or do you just concentrate on just making the best film that you can make and then just kind of letting it fall where it may fall?
You focus Marvel, on making the best film you can. Kevin Feige at Marvel is the nexus point for everybody, right? Okay. He's a brilliant guy, and he really is the one who, you know, makes sure that everybody knows what's going on in each universe. But he's got a motto, which is, you know, we can't look past the movie we're making now, or we're not going to make a great movie. Right. We have to make the best movie that we can, then we'll figure out where we go from there.
Okay. Yeah, which is really a brilliant process, because they really want to give you the freedom to play and find whatever that movie can be.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the actors who came aboard who are not playing characters they're familiar with, like Anthony Mackie and Robert Redford, which the Redford thing is the thing that really gets me, because the movie to me feels a lot like 3 Days of the Condor, which is which he was in, of course, and he's sort of playing against type for himself. You know, it's still very much a political thriller, which he's obviously, we know he knows a lot about, but the character Alexander Pierce is not your typical role that he would play.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about bringing in Anthony Mackie and bringing in Robert Redford and how they were on set.
Look, there's a lot of pressure when you're going to introduce a new Marvel character, because there's such high expectations, and Falcon is such a cool character, and and again, you know, you're looking for somebody who's going to be a full and equal partner to Cap. You know, and Cap needs a partner. You know, everybody from his old life is gone, so he's in the modern world. He's alone. He's isolated. That's where he starts this movie. He needs somebody, and Anthony Mackie was just, you know, it's like he was perfect casting for Falcon. He's got that combination. I mean, He's got great physicality. You buy his toughness. He's got great charm. He helps loosen Cap up a little bit, you know, because Cap is sort of serious and kind of guarded, and he draws that out of him.
He's always the cool guy. Like in every scene he's in, he's always the coolest one there.
That's what he's like in real life.
Well, you know what's great too is, Anthony Mackie and Chris Evans knew each other prior to this film, and they had a good personal relationship. They were very friendly with each other and had a nice rhythm, which we knew would be useful in terms of like developing an on-screen relationship with each other. So yeah, he ended up being amazing to work with, and also he brought such an excitement to it. You know, like us being new to the table, Anthony was also new to the table. So it's like every day he was on set was just like, he would bring this really wonderful energy to the process that everybody really appreciated. And then Robert Redford, the guy's a legend. The second his name came up, we couldn't get him out of our minds. He was perfect casting. I think there was a little anxiety on our part of like, once you get an idea in your head, you're just like, oh, how are we ever going to get Redford to do this part? But he agreed to meet with us.
He really responded to the script.
We went to his office. He made us lunch, and he sat us down and he said, "Hey guys, I got to be honest with you. I don't know what these movies are, but my grandkids love them." And it was that was a good opener.
The thing about Robert Redford, if you look at the old, like some of the old Captain America comics, they look like young Robert Redford. Right. I always used to think he would play a young Robert Redford would have played Steve Rogers 30 years ago. You know?
Yeah.
No, which is great about the way we get to use him in the movie, right? Is that he's antithetical to Steve Rogers, but we call it the Henry Fonda effect. Remember Once Upon a Time on the West, where Henry Fonda, and audiences were shocked, and that's the fun of it. Not only do we get this sort of philosophical symmetry of Robert Redford being in a movie that owes its a really great creative debt to 3 Days of the Condor, but we get to play him against type.
Now, Marvel at this point, and Travis, it's not a secret. It's a secret to you guys. I'm a huge DC fan. I didn't grow up as a huge Marvel guy, but I have grown to really respect and love what you guys are doing.
Point of contention.
Yes, big time. What do you think about the last 10, maybe 15 years of these films and how they've evolved to become like these, not only these huge tent poles, but like these major things that fanboys, I like to use that phrase, fanboys really look forward to these films?
Yeah, well, I think, growing up, right, the thing about comics is that they're limited, right? The frames are limited. You have to fill in what's in between the frames with your imagination. I think that's why kids like comics, right? Because it's basically a snapshot of every, 30 seconds or a minute of what's going on in the frame. And then to get to a point now where your imagination can be realized on a very realistic level, where the CGI is good enough that we can see the Hulk and not watch it the whole time and go, God, he just looks like a giant piece of CGI. I thought in the Avengers they really cracked him, and that was part of the success of that movie. Was the first time I saw the Hulk, and I went, he's got emotions. He looks like the Hulk in my head, that I imagined as a kid. So I think that there's that level of excitement, which is my imagination is now being realized on screen, and it's a collective imagination. And I think heroes they're like our Greek gods. They represent things that we either aspire to, or they're escapist, or the best ones are the flawed ones. I think they're the most compelling. And the flaws in ourselves that we see that the hero overcomes to do, execute a greater good. They're inspiring.
Yeah, like Greek gods, it's like the best superheroes always have sort of a really striking point of tragedy in their backstories, and that was one thing we loved about this movie, is the idea that Cap is now finds himself in the modern world, having lost everybody he's ever known, and it's just like a profound isolation.
It's the saddest Rip Van Winkle story ever, right? Yeah. There's nobody left, and that one person who's left is 96 and losing her memory.
Right. All right. So, comic book guys, I have to ask, what characters would you like to see? No, seriously. And what characters would you, like, if you were to move on past Captain America 3, what characters would you like to personally see in a Marvel movie that you like to do?
I think, I'm lucky because the character I want to see is Doctor Strange. And
you're probably going to get that.
That's teed up, I think. So, but no, I would love to see that, because I think that world is so unique. I'm interested in seeing these things zig and zag moving forward. It's like the Western, right? If the genre gets too saturated with similar toned and themed movies, it's gonna peter out. So that's why I want to see characters that are gonna stretch it. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Spider-Man stuff too, how Spawn gets represented, and they talk about making a Spawn movie. I'll be interested to see how they pull that off.
Yeah. So you guys keep an eye on all that other stuff too. You keep an eye on what they're doing with Spider-Man and the X-Men and things like that too.
You do, only just because it informs your again, as a pop culture junkie, you got to absorb everything, and then you reflect that back out through what you're doing, and it helps maybe make choices, right?
As a fan, and you hope that one day you'll get to see them all together.
Civil War would be like the greatest storyline ever, but there's no way we would ever get. I mean, I grew. Secret Wars was one of the first books I ever bought too.
Excuse me, you guys are speaking. What language are you talking right now?
Right. But it's because we're so familiar with the movie business and how it works. It's we sort of understand how difficult it is for these studios to sort of cooperate with one another and share these properties.
That way.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a few years ago, back around this time of the Raimi film, there was that scene where Hugh Jackman walked across in the Spider-Man movie and it got cut or something like that. But you had that sort of, it could happen. You know, he was Wolverine. Everybody knew he was Wolverine.
Right.
They didn't call him Wolverine, but you could have that sort of cooperation. Yeah. And now it's different. You know, it's about money.
If it wasn't about so much money, you probably would get cooperation.
Yeah. Well, the second they start having trouble making money, that's when you'll see the cooperation.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, would you guys like to do, like, because you do have the comedy background, I know you guys are kind of, you know, you like doing the action thing too, but there are a lot of like comedic Marvel characters out there, like a Deadpool, or you know, there are a lot of comedic Marvel characters out there. Oh God, jeez. So yeah, would you be interested in doing something like that too, or are you like
Deadpool's a great character. I mean, you know, that's actually, there's an excellent script that exists over at Fox for that character. I know it's taken a little while to jumpstart that movie, which I'm shocked because the script is actually really good, really reflective of the character. Yeah, he's a badass, and it is a tough tone, but that's what makes it exciting, right? Is it's a high wire act to balance that tone. I'd love to see that. I think I don't know. You know, you could throw almost any comic book character at us, and we'd be excited.
Well, you know. They telling us to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you guys for sitting down. Travis could talk to you all day because he's trying to jump
to get in more.
But again, the film of course opens tomorrow, which will be April the 4th. I think it's an amazing film. You can tell from Travis's eyes haven't twinkled as much in an interview in a minute. But I want to thank you guys for your time and continued success. Can't wait to see what you guys are going to do with part 3.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys sitting down with us.
Yeah. All right, and we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back more of Addicted to Film.
All right, y'all, we are back. And hey, look, that was it.
You see the look on my face? I'm like, I told him, you know, we should have went straight to break. But go ahead, man.
It's all good, man. Look, that was a fantastic interview we just did with the Russos.
Wait a minute. I think he's trying to show us something. Oh, are we still on that channel? We still good? Okay. Yeah, all right, we good. All right, go ahead, man.
Sorry, what? No,
we're having fun.
Look, that was a great interview with the Russo brothers. Giving ourselves some credit there, but
you're not supposed to say that, man. You're supposed to let other people say that.
I don't mind patting myself on the back.
Hold on a second. Let me get that for you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. But no, I love the things they had to say about putting this film together, and you know, look, you can tell these two guys really, really love not only comics but being a part of the Marvel universe, and that's to me is what makes it so exciting.
Right. No, I agree with you, man. I had a lot of fun with those guys, and it's also topical for us because the movie just was released this weekend. It did amazing business. It's much better than if we were talking to, say, a really stinky actor who had a really stinky movie out on our show. So my perspective after years of doing this is a little different. But you did a good job, man, and I haven't seen you had that much fun in the interview. You were like excited. You were like geeked up, like.
You did all right. All right, so let's take a quick break because we got another exciting movie to wrap up this show with, and we're gonna give you a clip of that right now. It is The Raid 2. Hey, look! All right, look. I had to give you guys that scene right there because look, baseball bat guy in The Raid 2 he's my guy. All right. I like Two Hammer Chick. Oh no, Hammer Chick is bomb. Hammer Chick is bomb, and I could have brought a clip of that too, but you know what? I went with baseball bat guy because I didn't want to give you guys too much because The Raid 2. Look, I think The Raid Redemption is a classic. This one is a classic as well, and you just saw a reason why right there. And that's just 20 seconds out of a 2.5-hour movie of stuff just like that.
Let me just say this for the audience as it relates to the Raid, the Raid franchise. I saw the first Raid at your house, Travis, the night before we went to Sundance, but they were playing Raid 2. Travis was like, you got to see this movie. So I sat up late, which it was so good, Travis. I passed out on a plane, man, on the way to Sundance. It was just, I just passed out, man. I couldn't take it. It was so awesome. Yeah. But when we saw it,
there's more to that story.
It actually is. That my partner in crime sitting to my left slept through my whole episode as I'm stretched out on a plane. But we saw it at Sundance, man. And Travis, am I making this up when I said that after every action sequence, we were sitting at a press and industry screening, and the audience, this is an audience of film critics and people who are on the inside, cheered like little schoolgirls.
Oh yeah, everybody broke into applause.
They loved this movie, man. And I'm telling you now, this scene as you're watching it again, this movie is so, I hate to overuse this word. This movie is epic, man.
Oh, it is. It is. And it's such. Look, everybody who's seen The Raid knows that the film is basically like a video game. It's proceeding through one level on your way up to a boss, right? That's basically what the first film was.
Right.
Now this one expands it to a much larger degree. You have the main character Rama, played by Iko Uwais. And and this time it takes place literally moments after the first film ends, and he's thrust right back into action. He's forced to go undercover inside this gang in order to root out more police corruption. But basically, what ends up happening is he's fighting for 2.5 hours trying to survive.
you know what I just thought of as you were saying that. Iko Uwais. These movies to me are almost like training for an Olympic for like 4 years. It's like, I believe he does nothing. Like, after he wraps one of these movies, he may take like 6 months off, and then he's right back training for like the next Raid film. Right. But this movie, as you said, it builds to him fighting to a boss. What I liked about this one so much more than the first one is that they set up 3 really compelling villains for him to fight, who they showcase earlier in the film. Since this is our show, I'm just going to say this, whooping ass. And by the time my dude, Rama, has to get in there to fight each of them, and there's one sequence where he fights 2 of them at the same time, which is absolutely just mind-blowing. Like the commercial. Look.
And look, I'm going to get to that scene in just a moment.
Oh, man.
But what they do is, look, and this is directed by Gareth Evans, who, you know, you've heard me say it before, I think he's the most exciting filmmaker working today.
Why is he not making any American action films?
Because he wouldn't be able to. Because he's able to make these movies the way he wants to out there in Indonesia, where the heck he's making these movies at. And he's able to do whatever he wants. And his camera style is just so kinetic. We talk about the angles he uses in some of these scenes. There's just one scene where this guy is trying to escape what is broken out into a gun battle. And he's running, trying to escape, and he's running towards you, and he just leans to his left and crashes through a window. And the angle that you see it from,
it's amazing, man.
It really is. It's dizzying, but you can always tell what's going on. It's frenetic, it's crazy, but you can tell what's going on all the time. Look, you can see this scene again. It's just so brilliant. But look at everything that's going on here. I don't know if you've ever. This is the video game nerd in me about to come out in a second. But if you've ever seen the video game called Rival Schools, it's basically a fighting game. There's a character in there named Shoma who uses a baseball bat. He's just like that guy.
Wow, man. Again, the thing about this movie, man, that really just jumps out at me, because I'm not video game guy, is that you're absolutely right. I agree with you that the camera angles he takes, and I was trying to play through my head because there's so much action in the film, or what scene you were talking about, but I know which one you're talking about. Yep. I just think that what he asked Iko Uwais to do in this film, and the amount, because he literally carries the film, but it is such a physical, he's just a physical marvel in a way that I don't think, now you correct me if I'm wrong because I'm a little older, that he reminds me of kind of like Bruce Lee on steroids, how he hit the way he fights, because it's reminiscent of, you ask Bruce Lee to do something like that, he may still be able to beat guys down, but I don't think he could do it with the style.
Well, Bruce Lee Bruce Lee's movies, and I love Bruce Lee to death, but the movies he's done are nothing like these in terms of the amount of stuff that he has to do.
Right, that's true.
It's just ridiculous, the amount of action, the amount of combat is in these movies.
Is there anybody in recent memory, Jet
Tony
Li?
Jaa. Tony Jaa is the only one I can think of who did the Ong Bak movies.
But those movies, I don't really like those movies. I like his fighting in those movies.
The movies are generally pretty terrible, but the fighting in them are on an outstanding level. Not quite up to the par of these, but some of them are close.
Okay.
But look, I mean, what did you think about the story around this one? Because
I really like the story.
All right, because they build this sort of operatic, sort of gangster film where you've got the old guard, who's the old guard mob boss. He's got a son who's up and coming, who's looking to build his cred. You know, it's a story. It's a familiar story.
It's almost a story of like the modern day mafia, where you had the two, you know, Meyer Lansky and what's his name? Not Bugsy, but who's the other who started Murder Inc? Luciano. It's like Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano pitting the old guard against each other, so that they can kill them both. So it's you're literally correct that the story is very familiar, but what separates it is that the style and the action. And I mean, as much as I love this movie, that one scene we've been watching over and over, this movie is ultra violent, man, in ways like show it again. Look at this, man.
Keep showing it.
Like, look at this, man. Like, how many? Like now, when he hits the guy at the end with the baseball bat, not here, right here, coming up. How many times does he have to hit this guy with a bat? One. No. Wow. Watch this, Al.
No, this guy catches a bad
watch this.
one
watch
right here.
this.
He
Ow,
catches a serious bad one.
Ow, in your head. Ow, again. I'm falling down. Ow, ow, ow. I remember Travis sat with me. I kept going, ow, 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 throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, you know, and we talked about it after because we've seen it a couple times now. The second time we saw it, I told you that, you know, the first time I think I was so anticipating all the action that I didn't appreciate the story around it. And it's true, because I was like, yeah, this feels really slow to me. Just get to the next fight. You know, but the second time I watched it, I was really able to kind of take in like all the gangster stuff going on around it. And I think it actually enhances the film to a significant degree. I know a lot of people are still knocking it. I would suggest those people go and see the movie.
Who's knocking the Raid 2?
No. There are people knocking the story aspect of it. Not the combat, but the story aspect of it. I've heard a lot of that.
I thought they did an amazing job of laying out the story, and then the action balances out the story.
All I'm going to say is I suggest those people see the movie again, and they'll probably feel the same way about it that I do. But like I said, the first time I saw the movie, I did not appreciate that stuff as much. That's what I'm saying. Wow, man.
People knocking the Raid 2. The Raid 2 is easily the best action movie of 2014, hands down.
Oh, there's not going to be anything that
followed by Noah.
Yes, but the character's prose was just not, you know.
It's got
the dialogue just wasn't real.
Yeah, no. But the script, man. What about the script? How's the script, though?
Whatever, man. You know, I don't go now. In their defense, Travis, I'm not going to the Raid 2 looking for story, but by virtue you gave me story, and the story moved it along. I thought they did an amazing job, but like I said, I wish there was a way we could do a mashup of like some of the best fights in the Raid 2. I found
a mashup of Hammer Girl and Baseball Bat Guy, and I didn't want to use it because I honestly don't want people to see too much of this film. I want them to go in there and just take that little sample that we've shown you like 8 times. This is 9. Take that little sample and just think of 2 hours of stuff like that.
Oh man,
you know, think of a couple hours.
This movie is epic,
precision,
man.
This dude.
And you know what's really funny, Travis, because we're not showing it because it does actually have some humor to it, because Baseball Guy also walks around and he's not only able to beat you, he's got a baseball that like he throws and you'll run and he'll hit the ball and knock you down. I just thought that was funny.
No, but the worst part, the funny thing about Baseball Bat Guy is after he throws the ball and hits you with it, he asks you to give it back to him.
Give me can I get my ball back?
Give me the ball back. Give me the ball back. But he's in what I think is the best choreographed fight scene I've seen in a long time, which is the hallway scene. Which is between Iko Uwe's character, Baseball Bat Guy, and Hammer Girl. And the reason why I liked it, and I've told you this a few times, is that it's a really confined space. You've got Baseball Bat Guy with a long range weapon. You've got her with 2 weapons, and him by himself. It's really tough to choreograph stuff like that. And you know, and for the way Evans was able to do that, and do it so seamlessly, so that everything flows and you could follow everything. It's just an extraordinary piece of work. And we haven't even talked about the car chase scene, which is probably the best car chase scene
since Bullet.
It is simply incredible.
Amazing,
I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Gareth Evans is an action master, man. And you're right. He probably would not be allowed. There's no way the studios will let him make a movie.
They're doing the Raid remake in America.
Here we go again. See, I'm about to explode.
Michael Bay, Transformers.
Like, seriously. Let the people go and watch the original Hollywood. Stop it. Stop it.
And the sad thing is, it's being directed by the guy who's doing The Expendables 3.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Seriously.
Patrick Hughes.
Oh, my God, man. Right now, audience, look me in the eye. Just say no. Don't even waste your money.
Yeah.
Go and see the Raid Redemption, and also go see Raid 2, Barandal. Yeah. Very good film.
All right, so we're about to get out of here, you guys, and wrap up this show. But let's talk about what we got for next week. I will not be here.
Travis will not be here. There will be some mystery critic sitting in the chair with next to me next week. Yeah. And trust me, we will be making fun of Travis the entire week.
Entire time. I expect my ears to be burning the entire time.
You know what, man? You don't want to try to Skype in next week? Because I'm telling you, that would work.
I'm going on an actual vacation, so no. But next week, we have Draft Day is the movie that's playing next week.
So did you like Draft Day?
Well, since I won't be here, I
can say I
can say I thought it was okay. But as football fans, that's going to be one that'll be interesting.
Okay, all right. Maybe I should get a guy in there. Any other huge movies next week?
Huge? I don't think there's anything bigger than that.
So just Draft Day. All right.
I'm sure there's something else, but we can figure that out later.
All righty. All right. Well, we need to come up with some kind of ending catchphrase, man, or something that we tell the people.
Shoot for the stars, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll still be above the stars.
Keep it addicted. I don't know.
That's awful.
We need to say something.
That's awful. We don't need to say anything
until
like that.
Next week, when Travis won't be here and we will make fun of him. You guys tune in to Addicted to Film. Travis, you got the last word on the way out.
We're out of here, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's been great. We'll see you guys next week.
That's what you got, man? That's it?
I'm going outside.
Wow.
¿Qué pasa, babies? Antonio the Cuban Cigar Smoker. And let me put you on my man. He's a killer producer at Listen Vision Recording Studio, Sergio Cortez. Nowadays, rappers and singers, they have a very difficult job cutting through the clutter. But with beats by Sergio Cortez, that's right, the ones that all the top DJs in the countries are using, you can set yourself apart simply by using high-quality exclusive beat from Listen Vision Studio and Sergio Cortez.